12 New Most Disturbing True Trucker Horror Stories. Untold Fears. Intro. Life on the road is never easy. Truckers see parts of the world most of us never witness. Endless highways, isolated rest stops, and long nights bring encounters that can't be explained. Some are bizarre, others terrifying, and some are deadly. Tonight, we dive into 12 of the most disturbing true trucker horror stories ever told. So buckle up, because once you hear these, you'll never look at long, empty highways the same way again. Story 1. The Woman in White. A veteran trucker was hauling produce through West Virginia on a foggy night when he saw a woman in white standing on the shoulder. He slowed, thinking she might need help. But as he passed, she vanished into thin air. Later at a diner, a fellow driver told him about a local legend, the ghost of a bride who died in a car accident on that stretch of road decades earlier. He swears he saw her, and it still haunts him to this day. Story 2. The Tapping at the Window. One trucker pulled into an empty rest area in Arizona. Exhausted, he dozed off in his cab. Around 3 a.m., he woke to faint tapping on his window. No one was outside. He ignored it, but the tapping continued, louder and more insistent. Finally, he flipped on the dome light, only to see smeared handprints across the glass. He drove off immediately and never stopped there again. Story 3. The Black SUV. A long-haul driver in Texas noticed a black SUV following him for hours. Every time he changed lanes or stopped, the SUV stayed behind. Finally, he pulled into a truck stop with several rigs parked. The SUV slowed, idled for a moment, then sped away into the darkness. Later, another trucker told him gangs were targeting drivers on lonely highways. He still wonders what would have happened if he had stopped somewhere more isolated. Story 4. The Highway Shadows. Crossing through Montana, a trucker noticed shadowy figures darting across the road, too fast to be animals, too tall to be human. He swerved more than once, thinking he might hit someone. But every time he stopped, the road was empty. Other drivers later admitted they had seen the same things along that stretch, and that it was best not to stop. Story 5. The Hitchhiker That Vanished. One night, a trucker picked up a young man hitchhiking. They talked for an hour, sharing stories about life. When the trucker pulled over at the next rest stop to use the bathroom, he told the man to wait in the cab. But when he returned, the passenger was gone, without a trace. His bag was still in the seat, untouched. He asked around, but no one had seen the man get out. Story 6. The Creeping Lights. A driver in Oregon described seeing strange lights weaving through the forest beside the highway. They weren't headlights, and they moved in patterns like something hunting. When one light floated onto the road ahead of him, he nearly jackknifed his rig trying to avoid it. Some say it's swamp gas. Others say it's something far older, watching from the trees. Story 7. The Screams at the Way Station. Pulling into a closed way station at 2 a.m., a trucker decided to nap. But as he lay back, he heard muffled screams, coming from beneath the lot. He searched the area with his flashlight, but nothing was there. Other drivers later told him the station had been built over an old collapsed mine where workers were trapped alive. Some nights, their cries can still be heard. Story 8. The Rest Stop Stranger. In Florida, a trucker parked at a rest stop only to wake up with a man standing right outside his cab, staring at him through the windshield. The stranger didn't move when confronted. He just grinned, showing sharp yellow teeth, before disappearing into the tree line. Police searched the area later but found nothing. Story 9. The Truck That Wasn't There. On a snowy night in Colorado, a trucker saw headlights appear behind him, another big rig following close. But every time he checked his mirrors, the truck seemed to vanish. It reappeared several times over the night, always on his tail. At dawn, it was gone for good. Some say it's the ghost of a driver killed on that mountain road, still trying to make his final delivery. Story 10. The Knock Beneath the Cab. While parked on the side of a lonely desert road, a driver woke to heavy knocking coming from underneath his truck. He grabbed a flashlight and checked, but no one was there. He tried to go back to sleep, but the knocking came again, louder, more violent, shaking the cab. Terrified, he drove straight through the night without stopping. He never returned to that route again. Story 11: The Silent Convoy. Several drivers reported this one. Late at night, a convoy of unmarked trucks with blacked-out windows cruises down the highway at incredible speed. They don't stop, don't interact, and vanish when morning comes. Some say it's military, others whisper about human trafficking. Whatever the truth, those who see the convoy feel an overwhelming sense of dread. Story 12: The Man in the Median. A driver was hauling a load through Oklahoma when he noticed a tall man standing perfectly still in the grassy median. At first, he thought it was a stranded motorist. But as he passed, the man's head snapped to follow his truck, his eyes glowing bright red in the headlights. The driver sped up, heart racing, but when he looked back in the mirror, the figure was still standing there, watching. Outro. These stories prove that highways hold secrets far darker than most people realize. For truckers, the road is home, but it's also a place of danger, mystery, and fear. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Untold Fears. And if you're a trucker with your own chilling experience, let us know in the comments. Because sometimes, the scariest stories aren't fiction, they're true.